Probably the end of the world. Trump warns of dangers posed by nuclear weapons. Guys, all right. I'm not sure I'm super partial. Let's say to the concept of of the leader of the free world talking about these things. Right? Not very partial to it. I don't want to see the end of the world, guys. We got kids out here, But let's see where this takes us, guys. Let's jump into it immediately. This is a suggestion via Discord.
Let me go back to what happened in the Oval Office the other day. I call it a smackdown of Zelensky. It looked really rough, but then again, at the end of the day, you may have your deal back. So was that all the art of the deal? Or what specifically ticked you off?
Well, he was able to, it was like taking candy from a baby, what he did. He's a smart guy.
Okay.
And he's a tough guy. And he took money out of this country under Biden like candy from a baby. It was so easy with that same attitude. And I just don't think he's grateful. We gave him, in my opinion, $350 billion. Europe is in for $100 billion. Mm-hmm. We gave him $350 billion, and he's talking about the fact that they have fought, and there's a bravery because somebody has to use the weapons. But without those weapons, don't forget, I was the one that gave him the javelins that was able to knock down all the tanks. Obama gave nothing. Look, if I were president, that would have never happened. You wouldn't have had Russia going into Ukraine. You wouldn't have had the whole situation with Hamas and October 7th. It would have never happened because Iran was broke. They had no money. They weren't giving it to Hamas or Hezbollah or anybody else. You would have never had the worst evacuation anyone's ever seen, which is Afghanistan, which was the most...
Yeah, guys, I 100% think he just misspoke there.
Evacuation anyone's ever seen, which is Afghanistan, which was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And you know what else you wouldn't have had? You wouldn't have had inflation. We had record-setting inflation under Biden. It was a killer. It's one of the reasons I won the election.
But you may get it again with these tariffs, right? I mean, one CEO said to me, my input costs have already started to go up. Well, I'm going to have to raise prices.
In the meantime, guess what? Interest rates are down for the last 3-4 days at good levels. I mean, when you add interest rates, you're talking about it's gone down.
Okay, yeah, interest rates definitely affect the concept of inflation. For the most part, lowering interest rates are immediately going to bring up the prices of assets because now more people can afford it. Supply and demand, it's just the law of it, let's say. I wouldn't say that that's specifically going to help the economy, specifically the ones who are, for the people who are suffering financially.
And, when you add interest rates, you're talking about it's gone down. I've been saying, let's get interest rates down. Nobody ever gets rich when the interest rates are high because people can't borrow money. Interest rates are going down. You know what else is going down? What have I been trying to get down?
Oil.
Energy. Energy's going down. I'd love to see energy go down. Energy is really what caused it. They screwed up my energy. I had the most energy, and they screwed it up. Then they went back to it. It was going through the roof. They went back to some drilling, but it was gone. It was hopeless. It was lost. But energy's gone down and interest rates have gone up over the last week. That's a big thing. I love that.
Do you expect Zelensky to come back? Do you expect to do that rare earth minerals deal?
Yeah,
I think he's going to have to.
I think it'll happen.
Are you sure there's the content that you think there is there? Because some people were questioning if, in fact, there is the titanium and the lithium, all those the rare earth minerals. You think it is rich with those things?
Well, I do. I mean, I've had it checked. By the best. It's very valuable. But with all that being said, Biden should have never put up $350 billion. He should have equalized with Europe. All he had to do is say, you got to stay even with us. They're in for 100. We're in for 350. How does that?
As a gift.
And we have an ocean in between us, right?
Yeah, and Zelensky basically literally just rubbed that in our faces, right? I mean, yeah, you guys have an ocean between you, right? So when the UK gave $100 million, it was basically a loan. We basically gave it to them. Biden said, "Here, you can have our tax dollars."
We're in for 350. How does that? And we have an ocean in between us, right? We're not in the danger that they are. They are in much greater danger, if you call it danger. He should have never done that. The other thing with Europe that bothers me? They've given Russia more money by far for buying their oil than they put into Ukraine. So they're paying all this money to Russia, and we're in there for $350 billion. Biden should have never done that.
I spoke with the president of Poland the other day. President Duda has great respect for you.
Yeah.
And I said to him, what if the U.S. walks away and stays away? Here's what he said. Without the United States, do you believe that Europe is capable of offering meaningful security to Ukraine?
No.
I would like to believe it, but experience to date shows that this has not been the case. The entire history so far of the last 3 years of the war shows that without American support, Ukraine will not survive.
Are you comfortable with that? The fact that you walked away and Ukraine may not survive?
Well, it may not survive anyway, but, we have some weaknesses with Russia. It takes two. Look, it was not going to happen, that war, and it happened. So now we're stuck with this mess. Think of what he stuck me with. Open borders where we have 21 million people came into our country, many of whom should not be here. Many are criminals. Many are criminals. Many,
like 80 to 90% of them are lying about their asylum.
Came into our country, many of whom should not be here. Many are criminals. Many are criminals. Many murderers, drug dealers, drug lords. We got that. We have the whole mess with Israel on October 7th. We have all of the ramifications from the worst and dumbest withdrawal in history.
Both Ukraine and Israel were both attacked by aggressors. Is America treating both countries similarly? Are they treating the aggressors similarly?
I think so. Look, they're
Are
very
you favoring
different.
one over the other?
They're very different places, okay? Very, very different. You're talking about different levels of power. You're talking about different parts of the world. The Middle East has been under attack forever. It's been, you look, when wasn't it under attack? And then we came along and did the Abraham Accords, which was unheard of.
Have you been as tough on Russia as you've been on Hamas? I mean, what do you want to say to
Well,
critics?
I've been much tougher because I haven't.
Was this Fox News asking that question, bro? Didn't expect that. Listen, look, I want to be honest here. I didn't expect for her to actually give like a hardball question. I like that. It kind of changed my slight perception of her journalism here, guys.
As you've been on Hamas? I mean, what do you want to say to
Well,
critics?
I've been much tougher because I haven't done to Hamas. That's been Israel that has to do to Hamas. But Israel does tell me what's going on. I think I've been very tough to Russia. Tougher than anybody's ever been to Russia, if you think about it. First of all, we had the Russia hoax, which was a very bad thing. Could have led to a war. And that was started by Schiff and all these lowlifes.
I know.
They're total lowlifes. And it was a fake deal, the 51 intelligence agencies. I took all their passes away. They can't participate anymore. These guys know it came from Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, which came from his bathroom and or his bedroom, okay? Not a pretty sight. But this was a Hunter Biden thing. They said it was from Russia. No, I've been very tough. Remember this, I'm the one that stopped the Russian pipeline, Nord Stream 2. I stopped it. Biden came in and he approved it. I'm the one that put sanctions on Russia. I'm the one that gave the javelins against Russia. No, I've been very tough, but I got along well with Putin. And because I got along well, they say, he's so... Nobody's ever been... Putin would be the first to say it. Nobody's been tougher than Trump. And Biden hasn't been tough. Biden's done nothing. He was a weak, pathetic man.
So is there anything else?
Like against Putin? Okay, specifically against Putin, I'd probably agree with that. But like against Russia, bro, the allies went pretty hard against Russia, bro. But that was like the 40s, though. But either way.
You want to say to the critics who say you chose a side in the Ukraine-Russia story, and that's Russia. Because, you called Zelensky a dictator and you had the fight.
Softball question.
Nobody has been tougher on Russia than Donald Trump.
On
Nobody.
Putin.
And they know that. They know that. Just look at the things I just told you. The pipeline, I stopped it. The biggest job they've ever done was the pipeline, Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of it until I came along. They were building it happily. They were going to supply Germany and everybody else all over Europe. And what did I do? I stopped it. The biggest economic job they've ever had, I stopped it. Biden got in On the second day, he approved it. He said, let it go forward. It was totally stopped. Just that one thing alone tells you everything. No, I was tough. At the same time, I got along with Putin. I got along with Kim Jong-un. I got along with President Xi. But nobody was tougher, like on China, than I was.
And then there are reports now that Russia says it will help the United States negotiate a nuclear deal with Iran. What kind of a deal with Iran do you want to do? You said they cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
Right.
There are two ways Iran can be handled, militarily or you make a deal. I would prefer to make a deal because I'm not looking to hurt Iran. They're great people. I know so many Iranians from this country.
Well, not the leadership.
No, not the leadership.
The people.
They're very evil people. No, but the people of Iran are great people. But they had a tough regime, and they'd meet and they'd be shot in the streets. I mean, it was a tough deal. But I would rather negotiate a deal. I'm not sure that everybody agrees with me, but we can make a deal that would be just as good as if you won militarily. But the time is happening now. The time is coming up. Something's going to happen one way or the other. I hope that Iran, and I've written them a letter saying, I hope you're going to negotiate because
they
if we
declined.
have to go in militarily, it's going to be a terrible thing for them.
You wrote a letter to the Khomeini,
Yes.
the leader? When did you send the letter?
Yesterday.
And you said
When did this
you better
video come out?
negotiate, or we want you to
I didn't
negotiate?
say you better. I said,
Okay.
I hope you're going to negotiate because it's going to be a lot better for Iran. And I think they want to get that letter. The other alternative is we have to do something because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon.
You said you wanted to do the Golden Dome. You've got a lot of ideas for America. But then earlier you said you wanted to cut $1 trillion in defense spending, right?
I didn't say I was.
You're not going to. So I was
said,
like, which is it? Are you cutting defense spending or are you building us up?
I never said defense spending.
Okay, because I think you were talking about denuclearization,
Correct.
and that's where the cutting of the spending came in.
I never said cut. No, it's not in these days. I'd love to cut defense spending, but not now. Because you have China, you have Russia, you have a lot of problems out there. No.
In fact,
no. What I have said is, we spend a lot of money on nuclear missiles, nuclear weapons. The level of destruction is beyond anything you can even imagine. It's just bad that everybody has to spend all this money on something that, if it's used, it's probably the end of the world.
If enough of them are used.
I don't know what to say to that.
You know, when I listen to these climate lunatics and they talk about global warming, and they say the ocean's going to rise 1/8 of an inch in the next 300 years, and
it will.
And nobody ever talks about nuclear weapons or some of the other things, but the nuclear weapons in particular right now. And they talk about the climate, and they talk about the dangers of the climate, but they don't talk about the dangers of a nuclear weapon, which could happen tomorrow. They say in 300 years, I watched Biden for years say the existential threat. He loved the term existential threat. Our greatest existential threat is from the climate. And I said, no. The greatest is sitting in shelves in various countries called nuclear weapons that are big monsters that can blow your heads off for miles and miles and miles. And they never mention that.
I mean, listen, there's a difference between like talking about something that has the ability to coddle, let's say, people, and then talking about things that just no one can control except for like one person with a briefcase, guys. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation, I think, in this context. Is the sea level going to rise? Yeah, bro, it's rising now. I mean, you can give any type of reasoning to it you want, I guess, right? But, bro, if Greenland continues to melt, all right, the sea level will rise gigantically, and it is. It's melting right now. Okay, so I mean, we can call it whatever I don't care what you call it. Just watch Greenland melt right now. It's not melting fast, let's say, but it's melting, guys. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I'm fine with it. I'm not going to sit here and call it, any type of buzzwords, let's say, but it's melting. And so that's the thing. Also look at the country of Tuvalu. Look at some of the countries in Polynesia, guys, right? Where they're on the sea level and they're literally disappearing by the day, guys, right? So I'm not going to sit here and ascribe it to specifically, right? The big bad buzzword here. We're not doing that. But it's happening. I don't know. Either way, I mean, the Tornado Alley is also shifting in the United States of America. Like, there are a lot of things that are just happening that who knows why they're happening, but they're happening. I'm sure there's some genius out there who knows, right? They can, call it, give it a name and things like that. But so that's the thing that's happening. And why are we not talking about the nukes, guys? That's bad. Okay, if one goes off, that's one, right? It's just one. If multiple go off in like many places and things, guys, yeah, that could be bad. That could be bad, really bad. Okay. Really, really bad. I mean, the last time I can think of this happening or something like this potentially, I'm guessing I'm attributing it basically to the year 536, right, where there was a volcanic winter where the ash went into the sky and shrouded the earth in ash, and plants started dying, and things could not grow adequately because the UV was basically being blocked by ash that was circling the earth, guys. Right? We had a lot of issues a lot of plagues started happening. Regime shifts started happening. People were, starvation was happening, guys. I can think that is probably what could potentially happen: a nuclear winter instead of a volcanic winter, a nuclear winter. All right. So I'm guessing if enough of them went off at the same time, enough can shroud the earth. Right. That's it. That's my opinion on that here. But this is a really good video, and I'm definitely super surprised at the person that was interviewing him. She got to a couple of good questions, a lot of softballs, but it's okay. It's okay. I like the hard questions. They make people squirm a little bit, right? But I think he did handle it well, though, so no issues here. But anyway, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.